Hello, world. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so good to be with all of you today. It is Tuesday, May 5th, and we have a big show for you today. You see the title of today's show, The Rise of Techno-Fascism in the 21st Century and the Resistance. We're going to have an exclusive interview with a very special guest. He's been on the Shannon Joy Show before, but it's been a long time. Jason Bassler is going to be with us today. We are talking about the data centers. We're talking about AI. We're talking about the kill switch legislation, the Big Brother surveillance cars and surveillance appliances, and the digital gulag. Jason Bassler is one of the foremost experts in the world on this topic, and he has been a relentless warrior for liberty and truth and justice for so many years. I cannot wait to welcome Jason into the Joy Virtual Studio again today. He will be with us in just about 20 minutes. Also, big news. We have secured Tom Massey to join us live here on the Shannon Joy Show this Thursday. So normally I start the show at about 12:15 p.m. Eastern Time, live on all of our platforms. We're going to start early on Thursday to accommodate the congressman's schedule. He will be in with me in the Joy Virtual Studio at 12:05 p.m. Eastern Time. So I'm going to start the show likely around 12 p.m. Eastern Time so that we can make sure to accommodate his schedule. Big interview with Thomas Massey. He is the man going up against the machine, the Democrat Party, the Republican Party, MAGA, Trump Inc., big tech, the military-industrial complex, the medical-industrial complex, you name it. Tom Massey has stood in the gap. He's been one of the rare voices on Capitol Hill that continues to tell the truth, continues to seek justice, and he's in the fight of his life in the state of Kentucky as all of these organizations together coalesce, dumping hundreds of millions of dollars in the state of Kentucky to defeat him for the audacity, the crime of standing up to President Trump, demanding that the Epstein files be released, and on a whole host of other issues. Tom Massey is reaching across the line. He's forming coalitions with like-minded individuals, even on the Democrat side. And he is incredibly impactful. His Prime Act legislation, or his the Prime Bill that he has championed, has recently passed. It was included in the Farm Bill, which we'll talk about that as well. But yeah, there is a lot going on. So we are super excited to welcome Thomas Massey this Thursday live in the Joy Virtual Studio, 12:05 p.m. Do not miss it. Also, this weekend, mark your calendars again, because as you know, I am running for Lieutenant Governor of New York State alongside Larry Sharpe. He is an independent running for Governor of New York State. We're on a mission to get enough signatures to put our names on the ballot in this upcoming gubernatorial election here in New York State, 2026. So we are going to be live at the Lilac Festival in Rochester, New York. It's a big event, tons of people. Larry Sharpe is going to be traveling from New York City to join me and all of our volunteers, the organizations that are getting behind this effort. I would love to see you. I would love to have you sign our petition. And we are also planning, at this point, a meet and greet afterward, but we haven't solidified the location yet. So keep it tuned right here on the Shannon Joy Show. We'll give you all of that information as we continue in this effort. But it's a great opportunity for you guys to come out, sign our petition, and meet Larry Sharpe. Lilac Festival in Rochester, New York, this Saturday. I cannot wait to meet all of you. It's going to be a really great event. By the way, for updates on the petition effort, how you guys can sign a petition or join the team, go to larrysharpe.com. That's Sharpe with an E. So Larry Sharp with an E.com. You can download petitions. You can gather your own signatures. All of the information and the instructions are there. Or you can join a team. You can get plugged in to a team anywhere across New York State. So that is going to be your headquarters. Super, super exciting stuff coming up. Let's say hello to all of you. Of course, we are broadcasting live on Rumble. Great to see all of the chatters on Rumble. CJP Rumble, I see you. Ollie Robin 9. God's Love 737. Great to see you. Chronozone 777. Guitar Lily. You guys are amazing. I always appreciate your comments and your questions on the live chat. Of course, we are live on Twitter. We're live on Substack, Facebook, YouTube. We're also live on we're on Spreely TV, which is Roku TV and Apple TV. And of course, for those of you listening at your leisure, the Shannon Joy Show is available on all of your favorite podcast platforms. This little independent show reaching over 1 million eyes and ears every single month, delivering 8 to 10 million impressions every month. It's absolutely unbelievable. And I couldn't do it without all of you. The best way to get in touch with me and to stay connected is to sign up for the SJ newsletter. It's an e-blast I send out every day. It has my show notes, all of my show links. It has guest information and also access to the sponsors of the Shannon Joy Show. So you're going to want to go to theshannonjoy.com. That is theshannonjoy.com today to sign up for the daily e-newsletter. This is the best place for us to connect. If we ever get deplatformed here on the SJ Show, and we've been deplatformed many, many times on this program over my 13-year history of launching the Shannon Joy Show, I want to be in touch with you. I want to stay connected to you. And the best way to do that is through that email list. So go to theshannonjoy.com. That's theshannonjoy.com. It pops right up. You can support the Shannon Joy Show and also make sure that we are connected. Now, we're going to have a big discussion with Jason Bassler today. Again, one of the foremost experts in America on the rise of techno-fascism and technocracy. We're going to be talking about Palantir. We're going to be talking about mass surveillance, the digital control grid, central banking digital currencies, private banking digital currencies, and the slow construction of a digital infrastructure that is meant to enslave us. And no one understands this better than Jason Bassler. And there was he is one of the co-founders of the Free Thought Project. Highly recommend the Free Thought Project. Some of the best independent content creators, researchers, and writers at the Free Thought Project. They're independent, not left, not right, just the truth, straight up, no chaser. And there was a great interview on their website with James Corbett, who is someone that I need to have on this Shannon Joy Show. I am such a fan of his work. And I linked this podcast in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show, but they mentioned, it's very interesting as we begin to set this up, and we're going to be bringing Jason in just a moment. But they mentioned President Dwight D. Eisenhower, and everyone is very familiar with his farewell address to the nation. He delivered it on January 17th, 1961. And it's popularized because of his reference to the military-industrial complex. And everyone kind of understands what he means now by that military-industrial complex. In fact, so many of our institutions have been corrupted and have been industrialized. We have a medical industrial complex and an educational industrial complex. You name it, we have it. I think it's extended past the military. But in that speech, there's also a reference, interestingly enough, to the technocratic police state and a technocratic elite intent on controlling everything. And this is what he wrote, or this is what he said in his farewell address. And I mentioned the podcast with James Corbett because I didn't realize that he had said this. But here is a quote: "Yet in holding scientific research and discovery in respect, as we should, we must also be alert to the equal and opposite danger that public policy could itself become captive of a scientific, technological elite." And that was Dwight D. Eisenhower. And we've witnessed this, the coup d'etat, Palantir, Peter Thiel, the installed puppet, J.D. Vance, who is next in line to be the power player in the Oval Office. We have witnessed, since the inauguration of President Trump in January of 2025, what, for all intents and purposes, is a coup d'etat. And we are witnessing the takeover of our government systems, public policy itself, now being taken over by artificial intelligence and a technocratic elite. And we can see it, we can feel it. Today, we're going to discuss the rise of this new dystopian ideology and the impacts on freedom and humanity with Jason Bassler. And we will also discuss, even more importantly, the resistance, how to preserve liberty even in times of great technological and societal, cultural, and economic upheaval. And make no mistake, they are going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at us so that they can install the digital ID, the digital currency, the surveillance state. And so today we're going to look at the news headlines with Jason Bassler, and we're going to discuss this topic. In the show notes, I mentioned also very good piece, and I'm going to ask Jason about this, from Wired magazine, how dark money is influencing. They're essentially, dark money campaigns are being deployed throughout social media, on TikTok and Instagram, probably on Twitter as well. And it is designed to acclimate people to a dystopian surveillance state and artificial intelligence. And so we're going to take a look at that. And there's also a great piece from in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. Where do I have it? Oh, the invisible occupation. This was a really good one. It essentially lays out in very stark terms the Palantir coup d'etat. The title is The Invisible Occupation, How Palantir and AI Built a Financial Prison While the Masses Cheered. Really great piece there as well. And we're going to be going over all of this and more with our friend Jason Bassler in just a minute. But we are going to take a quick break. Before we do, I want to thank our sponsors. Today, you're going to hear from, we have amazing sponsors, The Shannon Joy Show. We're going to hear from the Wellness Company, PCM and Associates, Don Polano, who is my financial advisor, and I trust him. Of course, Peter Schiff over at Schiff Gold, and the Satellite Phone Store. So please remember that the Shannon Joy Show sponsors are the only reason that we can turn the lights on here on the show every day. We bring you live, original content. It is 100% certified organic. It's me. This is not AI built. And it takes a lot of effort to do that. I couldn't do it without my sponsors. So if you are in the market for any of their products or services, please make sure that you use the URLs. They're always posted in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. So use my site and also use the promo code JOY. That way they know that I sent you. And on the Satellite Phone Store, the Wellness Company, and I do believe for Peter Schiff as well, the promo code is JOY, and that helps them. It'll get you discounts on everything, free shipping, up to $60 off at the Wellness Company, and a percentage discount at the Satellite Phone Store. So when you use that promo code, they know that I sent you. And then they come back and they re-up with their advertising. That's kind of how it works. So we're going to take a quick break. Please do not press mute. Don't ignore the ads. They're great and they have great products and services. And of course, I vet them all. So I see you guys on the live chat. I'm going to say hello to you guys before we go to our first commercial break. And then I'm going to bring Jason in right after. He's going to spend an hour with us. But I do want to say hello to all of you. I see you, Buskman, on the live chat. Blessings to you, Shannon. Thank you so much. Be My Valentine is with us. Ollie Robin, good to see you. Buskman, we are trying to stop the surveillance state and the data centers from our hometown in Ohio. Ohio is a hotbed, Buskman. Texas, Ohio, Virginia, I believe, are the three worst states when it comes to these massive Manhattan-style data centers. Linked in the show notes of today's show, we are looking at in Utah. We've heard about the Manhattan-sized data centers. Well, the biggest one to date, and we'll ask Jason about this, appears to be being fast-tracked in Salt Lake City, Utah. This monster is going to cover roughly 40,000 acres of private land and 1,200 acres of military and state-owned property. It is going to be 60 miles or 60 square miles. It's a massive hyperscale data center right smack dab in the middle of Salt Lake City, Utah. And the townspeople, the townsfolk there are pissed off, absolutely pissed off. So we're going to be talking about that. This is linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. Get ready to fight back because we're going to have to take these data centers down, and we can do it. It's actually working. I know I've said this a million times, but it's true, and it should give you some hope. Over 50% of the proposed data center projects are either on hold or completely canceled. And that is because people are rising up from the bottom up and saying, no, we need more. That doesn't mean that some data centers are going to go in some areas. We're not going to be able to stop all of them, but we can really cause them a lot of trouble by throwing wrenches in those plans in every state across the United States of America. Jason is going to be able to speak to this as well, because not only does he warn his audiences about what is coming, but he is one of those very, very rare gems that talks an awful lot about empowering yourself, resisting, becoming emancipated, and fighting back. And that's why he's our guest today on the Shannon Joy Show. Chronozone 777, thank you so much for your $20 donation. I so appreciate you, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so very much. And yeah, all right, we're good. I think I said hello to everyone. Guitar Lily, that center sounds larger than Fairport. It is. It is larger than a small city, Guitar Lily. It's insane. Insane. And we're going to learn all about it in a minute. So I want you all to keep it tuned right here. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to bring in our good friend, Jason Bassler. So make sure you keep it tuned right here. We'll be back in a moment on the Shannon Joy Show.
This is Jennifer with darkbags.com. I wanted to show you one of our newest products from Escape Zone. This is our satellite Faraday sleeve. So it actually will fit your satellite phone, which we've noticed that there wasn't any product on the market that perfectly fit them, so we decided to make them ourselves. And it has this Velcro closure right here to close it up, and that makes this dust and water resistant. So what's nice about this Faraday pouch is that it'll protect against any EMPs. So your device is, your emergency device actually will always be protected in here as long as it stays in here. You can take it out for everyday use, but if you're not using it, we recommend that you store it in here. Again, this is available on darkbags.com.
But I do want to talk about parasites. So as you know, there's been a big medical hack of 2025. Everyone's talking about parasites. In fact, my husband, devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy, was recently talking about parasites as well. It's one of those topics that just has not made its way into the mainstream conversation about why we get sick, right? You go to the doctor and it's either a virus or a bacteria or a virus, but you never hear a doctor ever saying, well, maybe it's a parasite, right? So there's a lot of emerging research on this. And one of the best thing that's happened in 2025 was several peer-reviewed studies that identified direct connections between anti-parasitic medications having off-label benefits, fighting a variety of cancers. So this makes a lot of sense. The connection between tumor growth and parasites has been known for years. Now, while currently the CDC remains silent, they have admitted, finally, that millions of Americans are suffering from parasitic infections that often go undetected or undiagnosed. This is why Dr. Peter McCullough, Chief Scientific Officer over at the Wellness Company and the world's most published cardiologist, says, quote, these studies make a clear case to do at least one medical grade parasite cleanse every single year. And the TWC parasite cleanse is the real deal. This is not your mother's cleanse. This is not some supplement. This is an amazing product. It is the Wellness Company's proprietary USA compounded ivermectin plus membendazole. It is a doctor prescribed gold standard combination dose, and it's designed to help the body eliminate parasites plus a lot of other incredible benefits. Each bottle contains 90 capsules, and it's enough to complete a 21-day cleanse. So the formula cannot be found at your local pharmacy. There's no equivalent out there. But the wellness company removes all of that red tape by making the process fully digital. So all you have to do is fill out a quick intake form. A doctor will review the form, and your medical grade parasite cleanse will arrive to you within a week. So this is a once a year cleanse. It is worth every penny. And it's time for people to get healthy and pay attention to the parasites. So head to twc.health/joy right now. twc.health/joy. That is my landing page. If you use the promo code JOY, that's JOY, they're going to take $60 off your parasite cleanse. Plus, they're going to give you free shipping. That is only at twc.health/joy. That is twc.health/joy. Annie has popped up the QR code in the corner of the screen. You can click on that or just hover your phone over it to go right to my site and enjoy a very special gift for the SJ audience. $60 off plus free shipping on every order when you use the JOY promo code. And by the way, use the JOY promo code every time you shop at TWC. If you're already plugged in, you're already using some of their products, make sure you use that JOY code so they know I sent you. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. And of course, thank you to the wellness company and the satellite phone store. So we have Jason Bassler ready to go in the Joy Virtual Studio. But Jason, have been trying to get a hold of you. You have to unmute your microphone and turn on your camera. There we go. So I think I can hear you. There we go. Amazing. Thank you so much.
My apologies.
Oh gosh. No, that's okay. It's great to see you. I am self-producing. The lovely Annie Cyrus is taking a little bit of a leave. So I am bumbling and stumbling my way through self-production. And it's been a while since I've self-produced and also had a guest on. She usually sets it up for me. I'm so spoiled, aren't I?
Well, look at you forging forward nonetheless.
Well, absolutely.
I wouldn't expect anything less, Shannon.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. It has been way too long since you have been with me on the SJ show. And guys, I told you you're going to love Jason Bassler. I really want to thank you. I mean, decades of work that you have done in the pursuit of truth and liberty and justice. You empower people, you educate people, and you've been doing this for such a long time. In this space today, with the rise of the technocratic police and surveillance state, or the techno-fascists, you are doing incredible work. As I mentioned to the audience, you're one of the foremost experts on this topic. So I want you guys to support Jason. You can follow him on Twitter. His handle is at Jason Bassler1. He has a fantastic Twitter feed. And also, he is a co-founder of the Free Thought Project. And when I tell you, some of the best thinkers, writers, researchers on the face of the planet over at the Free Thought Project. So I just want to make sure everyone can get connected to you. Thank you for all that you're doing. How are you doing today? How are you holding up?
I'm doing all right. I'm recovering from a cold. So if I sound a little crazy, that's probably why. But I did want to say thank you for having me on again for, I guess it's the third time now.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the kind words. Much too generous with those. And happy Cinco de Mayo.
Oh my gosh. It's Cinco de Mayo. I didn't even know. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, happy Cinco de Mayo to you. I'm gonna have to have a margarita after the show today, because
I think it's necessary.
Yeah,
yes,
that's what you do. So Jason is a true warrior in the fight for liberty, transparency, accountability, and you've done great work on the technocracy, the technocratic police state. You've done a lot of work on Palantir and a lot of research, and that is the focus of our discussion today on the Shannon Joy Show. There's lots in the news. Flock cameras descending across the United States of America. Kill switch legislation that was put in place by Democrats and Republicans, signed into law, just a few short weeks ago. Manufacturers like Ford and Chevy churning out big brother surveillance trucks banks that monitor your biometrics. We have the push for a private-based digital currency. We have a push now for digital ID, using the children as the catalyst for that, right? We need age verification for all the children. So everyone in the US now is going to have a digital ID. We're seeing a variety of different ways to put this in place. There is some state legislation. There is, federal legislation. We have Donald Trump. I mean, so many of the expansions of the technocratic police state have come via executive order or in the big, beautiful bill, or, the Doge coup d'etat, where Donald Trump simply handed over the United States government to Elon Musk and a team of technologists to go in and just suck up all of our data. I mean, it's relentless. It's relentless. And, for people to get a handle on it is quite difficult. And so I know it's a big, big, messy topic, but I guess I'll start with you. Where do you see us in this massive global reset, their attempt to kind of move us into the new monetary order, the new world order, which is a technocratic and surveillance state? How far along do you think we are, and what are your general thoughts about that process and where we are in it?
Sure. Yeah. Well, you hit the nail on the head. We're certainly in the midst of a new era here. And I think a lot of people are feeling it. I don't know if necessarily the normie population has really come to terms with this, but it certainly is ominous, and it's growing by the day. As you mentioned, just several of the topics that we might even be getting into during this conversation, the kill switch, the flock cameras, the techno-fascism, which is being propelled by companies like Palantir, who really have been instrumental in embedding themselves into our government, our federal government, even local state governments, city governments in many ways. So there really has been an expansion, really blurring the lines between the private-public partnerships, which we saw during COVID, but it almost feels, as you mentioned, a whole new horizon here as far as the technocratic agenda is concerned. As far as where we're at right now, I would have to say probably about 45, 50%. A lot of the infrastructure is starting to be in place. As you mentioned, the Trump administration is certainly ushering that in at, light speed, pun intended. So, there are obviously multiple incentives being produced by multiple industries. But at the end of the day, there seems to be this cohesive continuity in the direction of where we're headed. And that seems like it's towards a technocratic agenda that is probably bigger than what most people expect. And, we could probably get into some of the end game as far as that's concerned, what the final agenda might possibly be. Sometimes that sounds a little too ominous for people to wrap their heads around,
right?
Maybe even a little conspiratorial, but somewhere around the 50% mark. And, we've long talked about, even during the Biden year and the WEF focus, that 2030 is the goal. 2030 is the agenda that they have set in place. So, it is, at least right now, at 2026, really shaping up to head in that direction. And, all of the infrastructure is falling into place. A lot of the repealing and backtracking of, any type of privacy norms that we once had in this country certainly is falling right into place. So I think we're kind of at this moment right now where we really need to be not only examining what's happening, but also asking these hard questions like, okay, do we all want to be participating in this? I don't think most people have consented to it. I don't think most people are on board with it. And I think what we need to start doing is really focusing on what those solutions look like. But
Right.
as you know, Shannon, that all starts with talking about these issues first and foremost.
Absolutely. Knowledge and awareness is the first step. And I do believe that millions of Americans are going to have a rude awakening, particularly the Americans who are looking at Manhattan-sized data centers in their backyards. Now, this is terrifying, but it also gives us an enormous opportunity to meet people when they wake up, when they realize how dangerous this is, when they see it in their backyard. That's our opportunity to throw all of these wrenches into their plans. And I will say, in listening, again, great podcast with James Corbett that was featured on the Free Thought Project. That's linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show, along with all of your information and your website. But, what I love about your discussions and the way that you report, it isn't blackpilling. It isn't too ominous. Yes, it's conspiracy. It's absolutely a conspiracy, right? It is, two or more people getting together to come up with a secret evil plan. I mean, that's, and it's very obvious. They're very blatant with what they're trying to do. But there is so much that we can do to foil their plans. And throughout human history, we've had advances in technology, we've had innovation, we've had these type of cultural and monetary resets throughout human history. And somehow our ancestors are able to figure out a way to be free, to bring liberty in and freedom in, and to take the aspects of technology that they like, throw away the aspects that they don't like, and certainly refuse to allow a small handful of technocratic elitists to run everything, right? So we're going to talk about that towards the end of the show. We'll scare you. Okay. So we're going to scare the pants off of you today in the first half of the show. And then we will hopefully inspire you in the second half of the show, because there is a lot that people can do. I love what's going on with the data centers, because I have video of people running these guys out of town hall meetings, like they're running away in their cars. Like, it's really great. But, and we're going to see more of that, because they're going to push the agendas. So they're going to give us an opportunity to be proven right time and time again. And that's also an opportunity to wake people up. So let's start with the ideology, Jason. I believe that techno-fascism, or the technocracy, is the most anti-human, evil ideology I have ever studied in my life. Communism, socialism, totalitarianism, fascism, any of the isms, capitalism, whatever you want to call it, pale in comparison to what the technocratic elites actually believe. And so I want to start there with you, a little history of, the technocracy. It is essentially like a cult, and it is an ideology, but I'd like to start there so that people understand what is driving the people who are now in positions of power.
Sure. Well, yeah, the ideology of technocracy has been around for a long time now, even pre the 1930s. I think it even started before that. It actually had some legs as a political movement for a little while. And then it started kind of getting mixed up with all types of other kind of cross-pollination of different ideologies, and it kind of started to lose some of its wind. So, when we talk about where this has been, it's something that's certainly deeply rooted, especially in the eugenics movement, especially within the ruling class elite, who have more or less been trying to implement the eugenics movement and the technocracy movement, the technocracy agenda for over a century now. So, and when we look back, we also have to think about, some of the historical legacy attached to this. People like Elon Musk, his grandfather actually was part of the technological movement, I believe, in Canada. So there is roots there. There is history as far as the current leaders and tech elite who are moving this ball forward. So when we think of it in that sense, they're basically utilizing what we have now, basically this new class of, technology aligned billionaires, their venture networks, all their data-driven political groups, all the dark money structures at which you were talking about before, to influence policy. And, it's not only just influencing policy, but it's also how we're going to roll out this surveillance infrastructure. We're also talking about the algorithmic governance that we're seeing now, even just on social media, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Privatizing a lot of what used to be public functions. A lot of private institutions have kind of moved into that space where it's blurring the line now. And increasing AI-driven policing and monitoring. That's including firms like Palantir with their pre-policing tech and software that they have. And obviously these anti-regulatory agendas that ultimately benefit these tech monopolies. So there are a lot of reasons to believe and point to this movement really moving forward right now. We could call it techno-fascism, techno-authoritarianism. And yeah, you're right. It is a coordinated conspiracy. There's aligned incentives across different wealthy actors, let's call them, who benefit from a lot of these things that are currently kind of legal gray areas, right? There's a lot of weak privacy laws that because a private institution is implementing some of these policies, then therefore they don't have to necessarily align with the public laws, the public policies.
We saw a snippet of this philosophy, and it's actually very dangerous, or not philosophy, but a snippet of the agenda during COVID, because they never quite got to the government forcing you to get the shot, right? They wanted it. They wanted the government. They wanted Biden to be, able to get up and say, hey, every American has to get the shot. And if you don't, we're going to, put you in a quarantine camp. We're going to strap you down and shove a needle in your arm. That's what Alan Dershowitz said they had the right to do. And that they were salivating over that. They wanted that desperately, but they couldn't do it. But it was very sneaky how they got and coerced and manipulated and almost forced hundreds of millions of Americans into accepting shots against their will. They allowed private companies to do it. They allowed private universities to do it, private hospitals and medical centers to deny people their livelihood, to fire them, to rip away their education, to deny them the freedom of movement. They allowed restaurants to deny people to entry to a restaurant if they didn't have a vaccine card. It was all the private entities. And conservatives and Republicans are very vulnerable with this method of coercion because they think it's privatization. It's getting rid of government. Apparently you can do anything to anyone, Jason, if you're a private company. And this has been adopted and embraced by the Republican Party through Donald Trump in this latest, coalition between big tech and big state. And it's the most dangerous of all coalitions, I believe. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I mean, if you think about the American people, our foundation, our backbone is built on what the American founders basically created, right? This idea of, not complying with authority, at least questioning authority, rebellion, these types of things. That's largely been kind of passed on through the years. Of course, it's been watered down. It's not as strong as a backbone of the American psyche as it once was, but it's still there. So what they had to do was basically normalize this process, right? Normalize the techno-fascism, normalize the fascism in general. Mm-hmm. So, there has been a shift in that sense. And, I personally, I am a libertarian anarchist. I'm all for privatization. But what the big distinction here is that these are crony capitalists. These aren't free market institutions, organizations. They, obviously merge with state power. Any type of corporate power merging with state power is going to have a fascism effect. So that's what the distinguishing line has to be. And that's what we always have to kind of keep our eye on. When they start to weaken some of the democratic oversights. And again, I'm not a big fan of democracy, but there are some elements that still remain that have checks and balances involved. Right. So when wealthy private actors are shaping public policy without any type of transparency, that's going to spell disaster for any type of civilization, any type of society. So,
right. There's no better example of this in what you described than Palantir and Peter Thiel and the hand-picked puppet J.D. Vance, who was placed into the office of the vice presidency by his technocratic overlords, people like Peter Thiel. We also see the merger, Elon Musk being granted really carte blanche with major government agencies like the Department of Treasury, the Department of Social Security. The valuation of the data that Elon Musk was gifted by this president to just upload into the cloud somewhere is just mind-boggling, right? But there are two very clear examples. And of course, Elon Musk is one of the biggest welfare queens on the face of the planet, okay? Sure. So can you explain to the audience, let's talk about Palantir. because they are emerging as a major power player. And it's not just about benign surveillance and preventing crime and keeping the children safe. I mean, they're invested in waging wars, artificial intelligence, using drone technology to take people out. I mean, they really are merging into, it's tech, but now it is, they are like front and central in the military industrial complex. And
Correct.
when that military industrial complex is turned on we the people, which we saw in when they what was the protest against the ice Minneapolis. Why am I blanking on that? We began to see the deployment of the military and the police state and drone surveillance, that type of technology in Minneapolis, Minnesota. How does Palantir play into this, and how evil are they? I mean, how evil is this company? How crazy is Peter Thiel? Like, you've done a lot of work and a lot of research on Palantir.
This is a big one, Shannon. So yeah, we definitely could sink our teeth into this one. But I mean, just in the last 3 months, there's been a number of things that have kind of come up with Palantir that really have been, raising the red flag and turning on the siren, because there is a lot of things that are happening that are making people kind of question. And I think we're finally starting to get to a point where people are maybe familiar with Palantir, people like Peter Thiel. But, just in the past few months, there actually has been a whistleblower, a Palantir exec whistleblower, who came out, and I guess he goes by the name of Dirty Indy. I don't know why. That's just his Twitter handle. But he publicly stated that the corporation is a terrorist organization, and they've effectively embedded themselves into the United States government, merging the American empire, Zionist military infrastructure, surveillance capitalism, techno-fascist ideology, all into this one mechanism of control. And he claims that he's blocked on Twitter by his colleagues on Palantir. We actually reached out to him for an interview, but he denied it. But, I think Palantir employees are required to sign NDAs, so they're kind of tight-lipped. But I should also remind you, we are coming up on the 1-year anniversary when Trump actually tapped Palantir to build this master list of data on Americans, exactly what you were just talking about. It's going to include all of our different records, our IRS, immigration records. I mean, basically everything you could think of, all into one file.
Is that in place right now? Is that already happening?
That's a good question. I'm not sure about that. This was 1 year ago, so I would assume that is coming into effect sometime soon, if it's not already accessible. Some people have actually speculated that's coinciding with the domestic terrorist list that has been kind of floated around. I don't know if I'm sure you've seen it, but like even ICE and some viral videos on Twitter has been kind of hinting at this. So it's certainly ominous. There's certainly a lot to be paying attention to. Now, people like Alex Karp, the Palantir co-founder, they want us to believe that Palantir is just this America-centered company. I think he even has this quote. It's something like, Palantir exists for the welder, for the truck driver, the factory technician, or something like that. And they're really trying to do their best right now to frame Palantir as this company that's just serving ordinary Americans. And obviously, we know that's not true. There's, its business model is basically military intelligence, the surveillance infrastructure, and this whole America First mindset. That they've really tried to push that, but at the same time, they've licensed their software to over 50 countries globally. Wow. So, I don't think they really serve America necessarily. It's just their bottom line. And we keep hearing, Alex Karp kind of screech about this idea that they're not surveilling Americans, but they have built this digital infrastructure for AI, real-time tracking, for behavioral analytics, for risk scoring, arrest record pipelines. They're also speculation that they're involved with Flock, and they have the license plates data and the scans and all that stuff. We know that they're doing the social media scraping for ICE, the immigration logs for ICE as well, the battlefield targeting. So there is a lot that, they're embedding themselves into. And I think it's something crazy like 30 plus federal agencies right now. In fact, nobody really knows. You can't really find an answer to that, but it's speculated that it's around 30 federal agencies right now. So definitely don't let them gaslight you guys. They are the nervous system of the surveillance state. And they're basically what is making this mass targeting possible. They're making it scalable. They're institutionalizing it and normalizing it through these, public-private partnerships. So, and we don't have to go much further than looking at just recently how Palantir was involved with coordinating the strike on the girls' school, killing 170 children in Iran. And before that, in 2024, their software was also used by Israel to coordinate the 2024 pager attacks in Lebanon. So, and we could keep going down that rabbit hole, but this isn't a company that is necessarily looking to improve the well-being of Americans, right? This is technocracy that isn't elected; it's embedded into our institutions, and it really is kind of painting this picture of what the future could be. And I made this tweet earlier that code is the new cop, right? And algorithms are the judge. AI systems are the brain, and flock cameras are the eyes. And as I mentioned, Palantir is the nervous system. And somebody like Peter Thiel, who's kind of the backbone to this whole operation, he's the skeleton key to control. So and we could get into Peter Thiel too if you want. He's been, involving himself in some pretty strange projects recently, which one of them being the Objection. I don't know if you've heard about this, but it's a fairly new organization that it's Peter Thiel funded. It's basically designed to let people challenge journalism through this AI-driven, what they're calling truth tribunal. Basically, this kind of private parallel justice system. So he's funding it. It's actually created by the same guy that Thiel helped bankroll Hulk Hogan's lawsuit that bankrupted Gawker. His name's Aaron D'Souza. And basically, they want to make media accountability accessible to everybody. So it's kind of this new form of fact checker, which is, they were already privately being produced by different organizations and then funded through, big tech and whatnot. But this is even more centralized in the sense that it's just one company who is going to be using AI data to, more or less try to fact check journalists, making it, even that much more difficult for people like ourselves who have been through the ringer when it comes to the censorship, industrial complex. I know you have, I have as well.
Absolutely. No, this is the opposite. And just imagine, I mean, if we're living in a surveillance state, Palantir is really the nervous system in the collecting of the data and the processing the data and the using the AI to utilize the data. You really could see, you can envision 24/7 surveillance. You wake up in the morning and your smart home is monitoring your movements. They're monitoring what you're eating and what you're doing. You get in your car and the facial recognition, Big Brother car is looking at, your retinas or, trying to collect data on your heart rate. You have social media collection that is being scraped. You mentioned Palantir grabbing all that information, every aspect of a person's daily life. And then it's used to build essentially an avatar, a digital avatar, a dossier on every American, and then use predictive modeling using AI, which we know there's so much slop. This is not elegant. This is not beautiful creation. It's actually quite dystopian, but using then AI to manage everything about your life. And if it's fed to the government and everybody is in the system and they're using your safety to justify it all, they can justify this prison, a prison state. And, Palantir is everywhere. It's interesting to me, Jason, that, the drone technology and the drone surveillance at January 6th that was deployed by Palantir to scrape up all of the identities of thousands of very innocent Americans who were just exercising their First Amendment right to free speech on January 6th. They were harassed and tormented. You had grandmothers who were hunted down a year later after the Palantir technology caught up with them. And then they had to go and, I don't know, answer charges for, I have no idea, but that's like in real time. That actually happened. And that was deployed against Trump supporters. And so now Trump supporters are supporting the same company and the same administration that abused them in the first place. It's just astounding for me to watch this happen, to witness it. People just don't know.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's funny because the MAGA crowd tends to be the only people who are still kind of on board with Palantir because they have this mindset that it is going to help America stay strong and this, peace through strength kind of mentality or whatever.
They beat China. It's the AI arms race with China. We got to beat the Chinese.
That's right? A lot of it. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And, the same people who are cheering this on, a lot of them do invest in Palantir stocks. I maybe could understand that sense a little bit, but at the same time, you don't want to be supporting the same company who has been weaponized against you, right? That should be common sense. And that actually reminds me, though, you mentioned the J6 thing. There's even speculation that Palantir was involved in tracking down Osama bin Laden. So I guess that tells you how long that they've been involved behind the scenes with the deep state. Now, I couldn't actually find any legitimate references or sources for that claim. I did try. I think I spent a couple hours one day looking for it, but that myth persists nonetheless.
Unbelievable. And Peter Thiel, he's quite the character. So they have all these intentions. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and one thing we should probably mention too is that, Peter Thiel just recently, there was always some kind of murky area there as far as his relationship with Epstein, but just recently emails that came out during the past leak, or I guess it wasn't a leak, the past dump.
The release, yeah.
Right. Actually connected Thiel and Epstein. I think at one point, Epstein called Thiel a great friend. So we didn't really know their relationship beforehand. But if you start to think about the broader context of that, at one point, Epstein called Donald Trump his closest friend for 10 years, and he called Peter Thiel his great friend. So when your president and your shadow president were besties with a serial child rapist who, ran an international underage sex trafficking network for decades, it's probably something that you don't want to be associated with. But
absolutely,
nevertheless, people still are. And there's also this other myth that still persists that Peter Thiel is somehow a libertarian. And I just want to dispel that really quickly as well, because anybody who is advancing any type of centralization agenda, anybody who rejects individual privacy, anybody who colludes with the state and profits from state contracts, even building tools for the state and state control, that's not a libertarian. Okay, guys, let's just squash that right now.
No. Well, and, a lot of them draw their ideologies from people like Curtis Yarvin, who essentially, they don't believe in human agency, human freedom. They don't believe in democracy. They don't believe in checks and balances. They don't believe in representative government. They don't believe that, in the consent of the governed. They really look, when you link it to eugenics and the way that elites look at humans, they look at us as herds, not as human souls and individuals who have rights, who are created. We have a creator, we have rights, and those rights are granted by God, not by men. They can't take those away, but they don't see it that way. They would like, I think, to institute a new 21st century human slavery, and they would never call it slavery, but they firmly believe in it. And, to the point where people like Peter Thiel would say, we don't even need elections anymore. We shouldn't have elections. We shouldn't have democracies. The people are too stupid to figure out who's going to run who's going to run things. Like, look what you did with a democracy, America. Look how you destroyed your own country. So now the smartest guys in the room, they have to come in now and take everything over. So a handful of elites run everything. They control us all, and they use technology to do so. And that's their ideology. right? And they also like really weird things like this is why it's even worse.
That's what
Transhumanism.
I was about to say. Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. You're the
No,
expert.
no, 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 no. I was going to point out the transhumanist connection there, because
Yeah.
if they are adamantly against the idea of humanity, then obviously they want to replace it with something. And speaking of which, I don't know if you've caught wind of this whole network state idea that's been kind of popping up more recently.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, there's this. Well, it's no secret, first of all, that Thiel is no fan of democracy. You said that yourself. I think he even stated at one point he no longer believes that freedom and democracy are compatible. And, I agree with that to a certain extent. But his network states idea has some concerns. So I think it was Financial Times just did a write-up about Prospera. It's basically his real-world test bed for these post-state political ideas that he's been funding for years. It's basically this private city, and it's on the island of Roatan, Honduras. And it's basically this kind of like low regulation enclave marketed to libertarians. It's this kind of experiment. Thiel isn't the founder, but he's financially connected. And it's basically what it sounds like. It's an experiment trying to figure out how this is all going to work in real time, in real life. And the funny part about this is the Honduran government already moved to shut down this project. They say that it undermines the national sovereignty. Even the locals weren't happy about it. They're saying that there's no democratic accountability, and they're using parts of the land. And people are describing it as basically a corporate microstate that the community never consented to. So they're fighting it right now. There's like this $10.8 billion claim against Honduras, which is one of the largest arbitration claims in the world. So they're kind of fighting it out right now in court, and they haven't really decided. But I think this is just another example of how they could wield their power and influence and money to, build this, fantasy utopia that they dream of. And again, I would be all for this. I'd be on board 100% if this was all voluntarily funded, if this wasn't some type of corporate merger state, basically. But the fact that this is all being done through the crony capitalists, funding that Peter Thiel has obtained over the past couple decades, it's really hard to be on board with something like this.
Well, because you can't separate the government from the corporation.
That's right.
You can't separate Elon Musk and Tesla from the United States government. You can't separate Peter Thiel and Palantir from the United States government. In fact, Palantir was created essentially by the military, by the U.S. military. So, and we've gone into that history. So we're dealing with these templates, which might sound fine, but what they want to do is they want to export that to the United States of America and all Western democracies as they move forward. And they're very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. We're talking to Jason Bassler. I want you guys to follow him on Twitter right now. At Jason Bassler 1 is his Twitter handle. And you can check out all of his work. He is the co-founder of the Free Thought Project. And so you can go check them out there as well. They're linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Remember, your mic is hot, Jason. So, you want to yell at your dog or yell at your kids. Everyone's going to be able to hear you. I don't want to mess anything up by muting your mic. So we're going to go to commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the data centers. We're going to talk about the flock cameras. We're going to talk about the infrastructure. Like we're understanding the ideology as they're revealing it to us. We're beginning to see some of the infrastructure with the data centers and the flock cameras. Where are they going to go from here? And then most importantly, how do we throw wrenches in their plan? How do we beat them back? Right? We like technology, but not this kind of technology. And we have to have that discussion. We're going to have that with Jason Bassler in a moment when we come back on the Shannon Joy Show. Hey, everyone. I just want to take a moment to thank one of my longtime friends, associates, my financial advisor, and a beloved sponsor of the Shannon Joy Show, Don Polano over at PCM and Associates. Don Polano, as many of you know, was the very first Shannon Joy Show advertiser almost 12 years ago. and he's been with us ever since. I trust Don Polano. He manages some of my assets and my retirement fund, and he's offering his services to all of you. He can take clients anywhere in the country and even across the globe over at PCM and Associates. And as you guys know, it is so important today. There's so much volatility and chaos. You need a human being, a person that you trust, and a person that shares your values. And that's Don Polano at PCM and Associates. So if you are looking for someone to help you manage your retirement or have investment advice, please consider calling Don Polano over at PCM and Associates. His number, 1-800-536-1368. That's 1-800-536-1368. And of course, you can go to pcmpolano.com. That is pcmpolano.com to learn about all of his services and get in contact with his team. Again, so thankful for Don Polano at PCM and Associates, and I think that you are really going to appreciate his services. So that number again, 1-800-536-1368 for a financial advisor that you can trust. All right, mega thanks to Dom Polano. I've been working with him, oh my gosh, well over 15 years. Even before I started the SJ show, I was working with Dom Polano. He is a longtime friend of the Shannon Joy Show. I also want to talk to you guys about the Wellness Company as well, another sponsor of the Shannon Joy Show. And as you know, I mean, they're hitting us from every angle. It's a world that seems to be trying to keep us sick, dependent, and scared. They want us shackled to the medical industrial complex. It is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it is dependent upon you being sick. And this is why the Wellness Company is so important, that you, with the Wellness Company, you have a second opinion. They want to empower you. They want to unshackle you from the medical industrial complex. And they were one of the strongest voices, the people who have founded the Wellness Company, people like Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Kelly Victory, Dr. Drew Pinsky. They have played such a critical role in giving millions of Americans another option. And so I'm so proud to partner with them. And they have so much there on their website. Their medical emergency kit, it's an absolute must-have. 8 life-saving prescription medications right in your cabinet. It has a clear guidebook from world-class doctors. And when the system fails and the next crisis hits, you'll be ready with your medical emergency kit. They also have the ultimate spike detox. That's Dr. Peter McCullough's product, Spike Support. They have the powerful ivermectin and mebendazole combo for the most intense parasite cleanse you can ever imagine. In fact, I'm going to be starting that pretty soon. So they're helping families detox, fight inflammation, and support their bodies like never before. If you go to www.twc.health/joy, that's my URL, you use the promo code JOY and you're going to get big savings. Right now they have $60 off ivermectin products and 10% off everything else on the site. They also have special incentives for the Joy audience, like free shipping. So make sure you go to twc.health/joy. That's twc.health/joy. And every time you check out at the Wellness Company, make sure you use that JOY promo code so that they know that we sent you. So thank you to the Wellness Company. Without further ado, to finish off the show, I want to bring back in Jason Bassler, co-founder of the Free Thought Project. And we're talking about techno-fascism, technocracy, the ideology, what they have in mind for us. It's amazing to me that the tech bros have been able to essentially conduct a coup d'etat. I mean, they really have taken over so many mechanisms of the government. Donald Trump swung the doors wide open for them, invited them in, right? And man, they're running with it. It's no mistake, or it's no coincidence that Peter Thiel has increased their net worth by, an unbelievable amount. Everyone is saying that Elon Musk is slated to be the world's first trillionaire. I don't think that's a mistake as well. He's sitting on trillions of dollars worth of our personal data that Trump handed to him during Doge. So it's crazy how much power they have. But let's talk about, the way it's manifesting and how people are seeing it. You've done a lot of work with the data centers and the flock cameras and the drone surveillance, and you're monitoring some of this legislation, the kill switch legislation that passed that is now we're seeing a lot of pushback on that. What is your overall assessment on some of these new technologies and the American people's reaction and response to them? Do you think that this is now going to, and it already has, I think, but spark up some resistance there? And what are the different ways that they're beginning to build out that infrastructure?
Sure. Yeah. Well, we could probably start with the flock cameras. I made a tweet a few days ago that I was kind of starting to crunch the numbers in my head. I keep seeing all these documented cases of officers using license plate readers like Flock to stalk women, sometimes romantic partners. Sometimes it's just people that they happen to pull over and hey, that person was attractive. I'm going to look up their information. That seems to be happening more and more regularly. I think there was a study that found 14 documented cases recently. I've also been seeing more of these cases of just innocent people being caught up by the Flock algorithms. One case.
Can you explain, give us a 101 or like a 100 level on the Flock cameras, where they are, where they're distributed, what they do, who is making them? Is it federal governments installing them, local governments? Like just an overall understanding of what they are and how they're impacting people in the U.S. today. Before we get
no problem. So they are ALPRs, automated license plate readers. That's kind of the acronym they've been going by. Some people just call them Flock cameras, but there are different companies making these. Basically, it's a camera that are being placed all around our cities, our towns. They claim up to 100,000 of them. I've heard estimates up to 280,000 of them around the country. They're pretty much in every city you could think of. They're being both implemented by private citizens for, quote, security, but more so by local communities, whether it be the city itself or law enforcement contracting with them. And basically what they do is they are stationary. They are powered by a solar power unit on the top. They collect and analyze and track our license plates. They know who you are by your license plate. They also track and coordinate any type of personal identifiers like bumper stickers, any type of damage your vehicle has. And it puts it all into this database where it can be accessed by local law enforcement. It could be accessed by anybody who has the Flock credentials. And that's become another problem because there's been hundreds of agencies like ICE, like the ATF, like Department of Homeland Security, who has accessed these Flock data from different cities that never approved. So it's becoming something that's more of a pattern than a glitch. And it's becoming something that a lot of people have become concerned about. It's just this abuse, once again, of this, capitalist surveillance capitalism matched with public-private partnerships. And luckily, though, there has been some pushback, as you were kind of noting there. A lot of people across the country are starting to just straight up destroy these cameras. They're cutting them down. They're using paintballs. They're using paint. I've even just recently noted that apparently you could use lasers and shine them into the sensors, which damage the cameras as well. There has been even a boycott of Lowe's. Lowe's specifically is contracted with Flock, and they have their Flock cameras in their parking lots. And it's not just Lowe's either. It's FedEx, Home Depot, Kaiser Permanente, Academy Sports. Some of the major malls in America are also contracting with Flock. So, it's either we boycott these places or we continue bankrolling them with, bankrolling our own surveillance. Because most of the time, I would say 9 out of 10 times, these cameras are going up with taxpayer-funded dollars. There are ways to push back. Again, what I've found is that activists have successfully forced at least 8 cities to shut down Flock programs by exposing that the data is publicly accessible. There's become this heated issue where it's like, okay, well, is this data, this information, this footage, is this public or is it private? Who owns it? And when the courts finally rule that it's publicly accessible, what we're seeing is that some cities are taking it down because they don't want the legal liability of having that. Thankfully, there is some pushback going on here with something like the Flock cameras. Even somebody like the Flock CEO seems to be completely delusional. And again, it's just these people who have this idea that think that they could just run the world, right? This Flock's CEO recently said that Flock will be in U.S. history books, as if it's going to be, saving us and ending all types of violence and any type of crime in society. But the ironic part about this is that Flock isn't transparent at all about a lot of the stuff that they do. They don't tell us their total camera count. They don't tell us who they share data with, how long that your information and data is stored, who has access to all these different things. So obviously real transparency goes both ways. So I'm happy for one to, see the pushback with the Flock cameras. And also, I just want to put this out there. Anybody who is looking to take them down in your own community, I actually have a template that I've set up for people to send this in to get a FOIA request with their own cities, with their own towns. Great. All you have to do is plug in your own information, and then they have to respond. They're legally obligated to responding. So that's one way I've seen people push back, but I think there's a few other legal ways that they can as well.
Oh gosh, I love that. By the way, I mean, the first organization that you founded was Police the Police. And that was, right. I mean, Jason has been helping people. You do so much in education. And that's what I love. I linked in the show notes of today's show let me see if I can find it. Hold on here. It is, the 1 hour can save your life, the course on knowing your rights. And it's a 1 hour course. So that's linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. It's $29, but I think it's well worth it. Yeah. And that's linked in the show notes. That's one of the reasons that I really appreciate you, is because you do so much education on how people can push back in their rights. I used to call them, well, I still do, megalomaniac, control freak, lunatics with a nasty case of God complex. Like, that's the people. I mean,
hits the nail on the head.
Well, and Jason, they're very strange, and they do a lot of psychedelics and sweat tents and ketamine and all of the drugs, and they just don't look generally healthy. I mean, have you ever seen Peter Thiel? He looks like a demon. I mean, he doesn't even look like he's a human person. I don't know what these people are doing, but they're obsessed. They're obsessed with transhumanism. Elon Musk is they want to do human experimentation so that they can really jumpstart and accelerate because they want to live forever. They have a God, they want to be all-seeing, all-knowing, omnipresent, and immortal.
Well, it's not a coincidence that Peter Thiel's name is an anagram for the reptile, right? I mean, it's a little weird. It's a little freaky. Crazy. He does look like a very sweaty, greasy reptile at times.
It's just, I mean, well, didn't he have this thing with young blood, like hooking himself up, or maybe he had a company, and he would literally give himself transfusions of young boy's blood so that he could slow down the aging process, which is just crazy.
Indeed. Yeah. No, I mean, he had that one interview with the New York Times columnist as well, who asked him, is the human race going to survive or whatever? And he just paused, right? He just stalled, he didn't have an answer for a good 20 seconds. I mean, sure, he was formulating in his head, what he was going to say, but it's just a little worrisome. These are the people, like I said, that the shadow president who's kind of directing things behind the scenes and certainly embedded into the deep state. So, there are a bunch of
crazy people.
Yes, strange
crazy
folks.
People.
We haven't even talked about Alex Karp either. I mean, we could spend
Go ahead, real quick, please. Do you have 10 more minutes? Can we go 10 more minutes?
Sure.
Or 15. Yeah, because I think we go till 1:45. Yes, tell us all about Alex Karp. He's the CEO of Palantir. By the way, Palantir, embedded in our government, I mean, attached at the hip with Donald Trump. They have control of everything. They've done a coup d'etat. They have all sorts of power in this country. Peter Thiel obviously is the founder, Alex Karp, CEO. And how crazy is Alex Karp?
Boy, oh boy. He just looks like a B-ray Bond villain, right? He could easily be, the next Bond film. I mean, he's eccentric. He's fidgety, he's always just kind of hyper and moving around, and people think he's on drugs. Certainly a weird duck. And, here's the funny thing about this, Shannon, is that he doesn't value our privacy, but he values his own privacy. It's reported that he doesn't even own a cell phone. He lives in isolation. This was also reported a few years back that his office windows reportedly have these acoustic devices that vibrate glass with white noise to block eavesdropping. So obviously he's,
Wow.
obsessed with privacy just for himself, privacy for me, surveillance for thee type of mentality. But another part of this too is it's a little weird, but I mean, maybe it's par for the course. He's a lifelong bachelor. He once said that the idea of raising a family gives him hives, which is, in contrast with their, whole America first nuclear family kind of positioning and framing that they like to, put themselves in.
Right.
He even has a what they call billionaire bunker in Indian Creek, Miami, which has its own private police force, its own guarded bridge. And on that same island, man-made island, of course, it's Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Jared Kushner. So again, total surveillance for us, total security for them. It really does kind of highlight the double standards. But he said a lot of really weird stuff too. He said some stuff like you can't have the benefits of a free society without some level of surveillance. He's mentioned that we should immediately have a law that all technologies produced in the U.S. will be available to the U.S. government. And yeah, I mean, it's strange. And then, of course, people are really kind of honing in and focusing on the manifesto that just came out last week, which was a 10-point manifesto. People seem to be shocked by it. I'm not really. I mean, I can understand why they are, but if you've been paying attention to this guy for any amount of time, you kind of understand that this is all exactly how Palantir positions itself.
Right.
I think
it proves that it's an ideology. It's an ism.
Yes.
It's not technology. This is a governing ideology. It is what they believe in. It's like they worship it. It's like their cult. I mean, and they're out of control. Just the fact that they have a manifesto. Businesses don't have manifestos, right?
Yeah. Agreed.
It's very strange.
UK MPs called it the ramblings of a supervillain. And again, I think, that hits the nail on the head. But it does kind of normalize the hierarchy with its technocracy. It does blur the lines, as we've been talking about this whole conversation with state power and this private tech infrastructure. And it's, I don't know, there's a few lines from it. I think something in there was like AI will determine which civilizations rise and fall.
Right.
And it begs the question, well, it's like, okay, well, who's going to be controlling the AI? Who's accountable for it? And it's more of just kind of this marketing, like this myth making marketing to really just elevate Palantir's presence and legacy, I guess, in our current governance right now. So but yeah, there's a lot to it. I actually found a video. I don't know who put out the video, but it was this amazing AI generated video of CARP. I had to subtitle it and share it. I don't know if you happen to see it, Shannon, but I captioned it if Alex Karp had to say the quiet part out loud. Ooh. Because it was basically him saying, like, in, again, it was an AI generated video, so it was meant to be more satire, but no, we're not a democracy. We run this country as in Palantir. We are the ones who bring the order, the efficiency. Mm-hmm. We built the infrastructure for control while you were busy on social media and getting your dopamine loops and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So, basically give up your privacy, submit to our authority. Politicians are just these empty vessels. We're the billionaires. We're in control now. And it all kind of ended on this, high note of, we're living in this new technological republic. This kind of very ominous note that basically, they've collected all the data that they need at this point. Like they don't even really need us to continue scrolling. They don't need to continue doing the data collection, the data tracking, the data analyzation, because they know how to control us at this point. And the very last line was, try to unplug us, I dare you. And so, yeah, I think that's where the real power lies, is this level of controlling these institutions through private platforms, right? And yeah, so there is a lot to it, obviously, but
yeah. Well, you marry up this surveillance with the digital ID, with the digital currency, and then you marry that up with the data centers, which are to process all the information. So you essentially have, what they're setting up is just this massive system of surveillance and scraping. and gathering of data, down to the biometrics. Bobby Kennedy Jr. tragically addressed Congress and said he wanted to see every American with a wearable device within 4 years. That means that they're reading your heart rate. They're gathering biometric data. So when people say, oh, why do we need these big, huge data centers? Well, if they're monitoring every square inch of the planet and every square inch of every body, and even what's going on inside of your body and the bodies of your children, that's a shitload of data. So they need these centers to process it so that then they can build a dossier on each and every one of you in your digital avatar, your digital counterpart. So you are human and organic in one form, and then they create this new digital form of you, and that one is completely controlled, and you just can't unplug from the society. Like that's why they're salivating. I mean, that's why they're going crazy, by the way, because this drives you mad. They're mad with power, and personally, Jason, I don't think they're going to be able to get away with it. Okay. I think they have a lot of technology, but I don't think it's that great. And I think that as people continue to wake up, it's going to be much, much harder for them to push this all out uniformly and ubiquitously, right? Because it's just too much. And I think there's our win. So I want to finish with you, if we can have maybe 8 or 9 more minutes on all the ways. I mean, what makes you optimistic, right? We've painted a pretty dark and dystopian picture, but unfortunately, that's what they have in store for us. That doesn't mean we have to accept this as inevitable and accept the dark money campaigns that are being shoved out to social media people that want to make us convinced that it's inevitable, that there's no such thing as privacy. Joe Rogan came out the other day and said, there's no such thing as privacy anymore. No one has privacy. It's over. It's done. And I didn't like that. I thought that was propaganda. I thought that Joe Rogan was engaging in the doctrine of inevitability. And it's very demoralizing, right? To say, well, why do you even resist? Because this is just coming. And we see, I have a piece linked in the show notes of today's show that rolls out the dark money campaign. I mean, they're paying influencers thousands of dollars. And I think it's, the $140 million in total commitments, 51 million just in April. This is in Wired magazine. It was the title, The Dark Money Campaign to Influence Americans and to make us think that resistance is futile. They wouldn't be spending $140 million on this campaign if resistance was actually futile. They spend the money because resistance is absolutely important and we can actually absolutely engage in it. $5,000 per TikTok video for influencers to normalize artificial intelligence and surveillance and present it as a necessary response to China already beating us, the United States in AI, and winning, the digital arms race. And so I guess I'll start with, when we talk about resistance, how's it going for China, by the way? I mean, they were a test. I mean, they're a template. And I'm seeing a lot of stories from China saying a lot of it's falling apart.
Sure.
And what can we do? I mean, what makes you optimistic? How do we fight back? And how do we beat back these megalomaniacs and make sure that we have liberty and freedom in the future, and also privacy? I think that we can go for it.
Sure. Well, just to address the China part, there is this kind of overwhelming prevailing mentality that if we don't build this surveillance panopticon, that China will. And, we're just going to all end up under their control. Right. And it doesn't sit right with me. Obviously we are influenced by different countries in different ways. Although the U.S. has always been a leader in many ways regarding that. But I do feel like this is a false choice predicated on fear.
Totally. 100%.
It only guarantees this expanded internal authority. And I think I tweeted about this recently. So apologies if I'm repeating myself here, but it demands that Americans do trade away freedoms for this lose-lose scenario, because either way, our freedoms are going to be gone, even if these AI data centers and we are completely under the watchful eye of the surveillance state.
Well, so, if you were to take their logic and apply it to when China fell to communism, I mean, we could say, oh, well, you know what? Now we have to embrace communism because
Sure.
China is beating us in the race to whatever, you know what I mean? So it just doesn't, you don't adopt, anti-human dystopia because another guy's going to get to it faster. Like
Right.
it's the definition of a false choice, to your point.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that Wired article that you had mentioned, it was linked to a super PAC, which has been bankrolled by executives at OpenAI and Andreessen Horowitz and his orgs that fund it. So it makes sense. It's just more of the info wars, right? And it's what we're in the midst of right now. And I still don't know if the average American is aware of that, but they are going to use every opportunity that they can to try to influence people, and even the most subtle opinions that will end up ultimately shaping their agendas. So we always have to keep that in mind as well. But as we've been alluding to and mentioning during this conversation, there are plenty of people, and I think there are people off of X as well. I think you and I probably spend a majority of our time on X.
Yep.
So we do see, what comes through our feeds through the algorithms. Yep. And that alone always kind of changes the dynamic as far as talking about information exchange. But nevertheless, I am optimistic that people have been becoming more aware. The name Peter Thiel, the name Palantir, even Alex Karp, who is a little bit less known than Thiel. People hear these names, these words, and their ears perk up. They know automatically that it's something sinister, that there's something ominous attached and involved with it. I don't know if that means that we've been doing an effective job with our positioning and how we present these topics, but I think overall people have gotten the sense that these agendas are not only exploiting us, but they're turning us into products. People are tired of that. And so there is a coordinated effort on the ground in many places, as we've mentioned, with the flock cameras, but not only that, with the data centers. Mm-hmm. A lot of pushback from people who just don't want to see data centers in their neighborhoods, in their areas, because they know how that's going to harm and affect everyday life, their lifestyles. But beyond that, I think there has been a significant shift in our mentality when it comes to surveillance. People understand that the Trump administration is facilitating this. It is ushering it in. And I think that's going to be synonymous with his presidency, with this administration. And Trump is so obsessed with his legacy and with the legacy that he's going to leave, with the Golden Dome and all these other things that he's trying to do. But at the same time, we all see it plain as day that this is an issue. People are trying to fight back whatever way they can. And I think the best way, at least that I've been seeing it, is that my posts, anytime I talk about Flock now, anytime I'm talking about Palantir, they're getting thousands of shares, thousands of comments. So that to me alone indicates that people are interested in these topics and they want to know more, and they want to share that with their loved ones, their friends, their people in their circles, because that's what we need to do to wake up this beast that is the American public. So as far as what we can do, I mean, we already talked about the whole education. That is first and foremost. That's exposing the ecosystems, explaining how these algorithms work, how they keep us in these echo chambers. I think most people have a pretty good idea about that, but still there's plenty of people who get caught up in the identity politics, who get caught up in cheering for their team, red team, blue team. So we do have to continue to focus on that. But we also have to keep showing how surveillance affects civil liberties, right? Mm-hmm. Now, people will say that these flock cameras, they are in public, and in public, there's no expectation of privacy. But I still think at the same time, a private company collecting this, mass troves, terabytes of information on the average person, that just doesn't resonate with people. That's not something that they want to be a part of, akin to, no matter how much they try to sell it to us as being, for police, finding missing children, missing people, and all this other stuff for safety, always guised in safety, always under the guise of safety, of course. Right. We have to continue pointing how these affect our civil liberties and who profits from the infrastructure, right? Right. Absolutely important. Now, there are other ways to do it on your own. There's basically, you break this into two camps. It's, what we can do on a personal level, and then obviously how we could grovel to the government and try to use the levers of the state to try to stop some of these things. Right. But as far as it goes, trying to do things on a personal level, supporting any type of privacy preserving technologies, open source tools. That's huge. I have a friend over at Above Phone, Hakeem. He builds these amazing phones, abovephone.com.
Okay.
He even sponsored the Free Thought Project at one point.
No way.
He builds these phones that are completely big tech free. It's privacy oriented, has all the same apps, all the same functions and features as your smartphone. It's just privacy oriented. So it does, take a little bit of getting used to. They have a whole customer service team on standby if you have any issues, calls, emails, or whatever. But that's one way of going about it. Also, getting away from these big tech AI giants like OpenAI, Gemini, Google, all this stuff. There are local only AI models, and it takes a little bit to set them up, but certainly try to do that if you can, guys.
Definitely.
Any type of privacy first alternatives to these major platforms, including the social media platforms. There's Minds, there's MeWe. I know they're not as popular as something like X. You don't get quite the same traction, but we can't keep feeding the beast, right? Like we have to start moving away from these companies. So I could get into more too, as far as the government solutions and just trying to kind of strengthen privacy laws and stuff like that. But I think that's a good starting place.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm an all of the above kind of gal.
Yes.
So federal legislation, big government solutions, small government solutions at the state level, local level, and then most importantly, making changes in your own life, like individual emancipation. It starts there. And, over the past couple of years, I've been doing little things. I really limit my time spent on social media, Jason. I've had lots of conversations with my children, and they get it. I'm telling you, they get it. They understand. We've been talking about the algorithms and how every time they're on Instagram, every time they're on the social media, it's data point, data point, data point. The system is reading you and then sending you things. And so my kids have become very savvy in a lot of ways. I see my kids putting down their phones. They don't like their phones. There's all the young people, Jason. There's like a whole movement of young people who want iPods and flip phones and records and all of the dumb tech. And it's becoming kind of like hip and cool. They don't want, you know what I mean? So there's, the market is an unpredictable beast.
Sure.
We as humans are on this, and I think this is what frightens them. It's why they so desperately want us to control us and to control the narrative. But I feel happier. I'm using cash now, Jason.
Yeah.
So I, have all my accounts where I do all of like my business and stuff, but I'm taking out for all of my discretionary spending and anything that I do daily. I'm taking cash out every week. I'm just using it. I know it's not like the number one thing, but we want to keep it in circulation. We want to keep it acclimated to using it. And so, those are just a few areas in my life where I've made changes, but I do monitor my social media. Like I try to time myself. I'm going to go on, I'm going to do this thing, and then I'm going to go off because, man, it's like a slot machine, that phone. They get you.
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden hours are gone. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I actually, and I'll be brief here because I know we're wrapping it up, but just recently saw that Facebook and Instagram said that their user numbers have gone down. People who are actually spending time on these social media platforms, and they attribute it to being low quality content. But I think you're right, Shannon. I think there is starting to become this push of people getting off their devices, and they realize how addictive they've become. They realize that these big tech companies, these social media companies, have dig their hooks in intentionally programming these apps to be very addictive, especially for teens and early 20s. And I get it, especially when you're really involved with your social life. But it has become something that has been more detrimental to society, especially these short form videos, the damage it does to your brain. We actually had a great guest on our podcast just recently, Sam Knight from Mindless HQ. And he made a great point, right? Because there is some utility here. There is some utility through social media information exchange. This conversation wouldn't be possible. The poison is in the dose. So just try to find that happy medium where you're not binging, you're not overindulging, you're actually getting something from it, setting some type of intention when using your social media. I think that's where the true key is.
Yeah. And I'll tell this last story. That's such great advice. This last story, I was visiting my son and his buddies in college a few months ago, and we took them out to dinner, and they all sat down. We all sat down at the table, And all four of them, these big strapping young men, and they're cool kids. They're not, but all four of them put their phones in the middle of the table, and they're like, phones in the middle. And like, they were aware. And I didn't ask them to do that. It didn't even occur to me that these 19-year-old, college age men would even have the wherewithal or the awareness to do that. But apparently they do it all the time. That's what they do. Phones in the middle. And I'm like, okay, all right. I have hope for humanity.
Yes, that gives me hope. That's the mindful behavior that we do need to see more of. So that's amazing.
Absolutely. Jason, you're a blessing. Thank you so much for the work that you do. You really, some of the best information out there is being pushed out by the Free Thought Project, and you're surrounded by just amazing people that we feature here on the Shannon and Joy Show all the time. So keep up that great work. How can people help you? We got about a minute left, but any last thoughts and how people can support you would be great.
Yeah, I would love to help you get James Corbett on your show. He is another, he's a blessing in himself and one of my favorite thinkers of all time. So I'll do what I can. But
he's too smart for me. I don't know. Oh my gosh, he's awesome.
He's an amazing guy. Yeah. Definitely check out his work at Corbett Report, guys, because he's leading the charge. I'm following in his footsteps. So. But anyway, the freethoughtproject.com is still our home base. We're still putting out about 2 to 3 articles every day. Even though we've been, hit by the censorship stick, I don't know how many times at this point. We also put out podcasts every week. So check out our podcast. I know I've referenced it a few times, but you can find that Spotify, Apple Podcast. Otherwise, jasonbassler.com. I have my book, 3 Ways to Prepare for CBDCs over there. It's another place where you could find my Know Your Rights course. Yeah. And I have a children's Know Your Rights book as well that the Free Thought Project put out, Little Free Thinkers put out. So, that's the next generation. We got to do what we can to raise their awareness and build their foundation of liberty. So check that out. Otherwise, social media, Instagram, jason.e.bassler, and Twitter, jasonbassler.1. You could find me there.
Amazing.
Pretty much every other social media platform you could think of, I'm on it as well. So I so appreciate you. Such great work, and let's keep in touch. Let's not make it as long as it was. I think it's been like 6 months since I had you on last, and I like to. We didn't even get into digital currencies, central banking, digital currencies, or private banking, and I think the banking thing, they're going to pull some rugs, I think, very soon. And that banking thing is going to be one of the ways that they try to lock us in. So we have to be prepared for that. And we'll make sure that we keep in touch with you and have you on as the news progresses. So thank you. You have a great day. Okay. Thanks, Shem.
All right. Jason Bassler, just really, really great researcher, writer, thinker, and just an all-around good guy. One of the reasons I really like his work, he does so much in the area of empowering you. So if you go to his website or you go to the Free Thought Project, you will get so much information, so many things that you can do to empower yourself and to begin to revalue privacy. Somewhere along the way, and I don't know how this happened in the United States of America, because it was number 4, right? The 4th Amendment, right to privacy. Somehow the framers of our Constitution, the founders of this country, really valued privacy. They valued privacy so much, they put it in number 4 in the Bill of Rights. And for whatever reason, that has been, it's been erased from our psyche, from our, the forefront of our mind. I don't know how many times I have a conversation with people and they're like, well, if I'm not doing anything wrong, I don't need to worry about privacy, right? The only people who care about privacy are people who are doing illegal things. Are you crazy? Do you have curtains on your window? Do you have a door on your house? Are you doing bad things? Privacy is something like built into us. And somehow it's just been removed. And we got to figure out a way. To get that back at the top of people's minds. And I think as the data centers roll out and the flat cameras, as they get creepier and creepier, here's our benefit. Okay. Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, and Alex Karp, and, all of the megalomaniac, control freak, lunatic tech bros that have a God complex, right? They're not going to get any more normal. They're only going to go crazier, and they're really crazy as it is today. So I think we just have to kind of sit back and let them expose themselves And it's going to come. There are a lot of normies out there right now who don't pay attention to these things. They don't pay attention to privacy. And this is not on their radar. But believe me, the bad guys aren't stopping. And so there will be a moment when regular people wake up and see what it is that they are planning and what it is they are building. And that's going to be our opportunity. That's when all of us, those of us who have organized and advocated and worked together over the past 10, 20, 30 years even, that's when we're going to be ready with the messaging of truth. And that's kind of what I'm preparing for. And I see you guys on the live chat. Be my Valentine. I love privacy. That's why I love winter. Laugh out loud. Absolutely. Yes, this is an amazing, amazing chat. Those of you watching on YouTube, I'm so glad that you're with us today. Sorry if I can't see the chat right now. I don't have that up, but the Substack audience is growing. The YouTube audience is growing. The Twitter audience is growing. It's just amazing. And that's all without algorithmic preference. And sometimes despite algorithmic suppression. Somehow we're able to push out here on the Shannon Joy Show. And you guys can help me do that by going to theshannonjoy.com right now. Sign up for my daily e-newsletter. Don't wait. You're going to forget. And this is the one way that I can connect with you if I lose all of my platforms. If they throw me off YouTube, throw me off Rumble, throw me off Twitter. I was already permanently suspended from Twitter because of all of my shenanigans during COVID in the lockdowns. So that got me, I was already thrown off a radio station. I started on a terrestrial AM radio station, a tiny little station. And I started out of a double wide cornfield a double wide trailer in a cornfield. And I got thrown off of that platform like 8 or 9 years ago because the owner of the radio station could not stand the fact that I critiqued Trump. He was a Trump humper, like big MAGA guy. And he just couldn't take it anymore. And he just threw me right off the station. I mean, we were doing great. I had grown the business exponentially. I dumped a lot of money in his pocket too, by the way, but it didn't matter. He just could not stand to hear any critique. I had a live show. I was live every day at noon. And so he just booted me right off that platform. And so I've had my share of suppression and being deplatformed. And so that's why that email list is so important to me. It's the one way that I can connect with all of you, and it's ours. I'm not dependent on any of these social media platforms to get in touch with you. So that is very important. Make sure you go to theshannonjoy.com. And of course, please support our partners, our advertising partners. And I want to talk to you about the satellite phone store before we head out. I'll take a couple of your comments as well. Do you have any questions or comments as we wrap this show up? If you do, and you're on the Rumble live chat, pop them in the live chat, put it in all caps. Oh, by the way, the other way that you can help us with the algorithm, if you're listening via podcast, 5-star review, and make sure you download the podcast. If you're watching on any other social media platforms, retweet it, repost it, give it a thumbs up, the show, comment in the comment section, comment on the live chat. Those are all kinds of things that help to move that algorithm. But big thank you to our friends over at the Satellite Phone Store. As you know, we've been watching the weather. It's been wild weather out there. And some of it's natural, some of it's man-made or geoengineering or weather modification. Well, regardless of why it's happening, right now there are tornadoes and flooding. It's ripping through Texas and the Gulf Coast. The power lines are down, cell towers have been wiped out, and families have been stranded for days. No phone calls, no texts, no way to reach anyone for help or check on loved ones. And so this is why it's so, so important. Preparedness is everything. You never, ever want to be in a situation where you can't communicate it. And this is why real preparedness matters. And it's why everyone needs a satellite phone from Sat 123. These are rugged, battle-tested phones. They connect straight to satellites above that. You don't need a cell tower. You don't need a power grid. You don't need any permissions. It's just crystal clear voice calls, instant texting, and dedicated emergency SOS buttons in case you need them. So this is what you need when the lights go out, whether it's a natural disaster, an alien invasion, a zombie apocalypse. Our friends at the satellite phone store have the right satellite phone and the right package for you. They've made it affordable, super affordable for regular Americans to have a satellite phone for that rainy day. So don't wait until the next store comes. Go to sat123.com/joy. That's sat123.com/joy. If you use the promo code JOY, you're going to get exclusive savings, at least 10% off. So that is where we are. LT Oracle of Truth on the live chat. Shannon, did you see the Tucker Cruise interview? Are we talking about Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz? I did not see it. What are your thoughts, LT Oracle of Truth? Did you see it? Tell me what you think. Be My Valentine. Any count on how many signatures have come in for Sharp Joy yet? No, I do not get any counts on that. I'm just too busy. Be My Valentine. But I know that we have teams deployed across New York State, and we are getting as many signatures as humanly possible. And we have a couple strategies lined up for the remaining 3 weeks. So we are still working diligently on that, Be My Valentine. And if it's good news, believe me, you're going to hear it. So when we hit that total, we will definitely let you know. Ollie Robin 9, I see you on the live chat. Anyone else? Questions, comments? I mean, I see a lot of side comments and a lot of side chats. Yeah, we got to knock these data centers down. People are not going to want them, I'm telling you. Yes, Be My Valentine, send in your petitions. Oh, where is Sasha's painting? I have a ton of Sasha Latopova's paintings in my office. And Junebugs Mama Texas, great job pivoting, hosting, and producing. Thank you very much. I'm kind of proud of myself. Self-producing, day 2. It wasn't terrible. I've turned my mic on. We got Jason into the studio, and I think it went just fine. So I think we're good. Mark the Regan. Yes, many digressions. The Shannon Joy Rumble live chat is kind of a show in and of itself. You guys have all kinds of side chats going, all kinds of side comments. That's why I ask you to put things that you want me to see, questions you want me to answer, or comments you want me to read. You have to put them in all caps because I can't keep up with all of your side conversations. Yeah, clones, no shumbles today. That's for sure. All right. Okay, guys, that's it. Thursday, the Thomas Massey is joining me in the Joy Virtual Studio. Mark your calendars. We're going to start at 12:05 p.m. Eastern Time this Thursday, live on the show. Congressman Tom Massey. He is in a dogfight in the state of Kentucky. The entirety of the deep state uniparty swamp is coming after Tom Massey. And it's because he just keeps out putting out so much truth. He is going to be with me live here on the Shannon Joy Show. Oh, Strident Conservative, I see you. Where did Jason say we could find an action plan against Flock? I'm going to guess, David, you're going to find that at jasonbassler.com because that's where he pushes out a lot of his informative, empowering how-to videos on how to know your rights, how to resist Flock cameras, how to teach your kids to value privacy. All of those things you can find at jasonbassler.com. And all of the reporting, they push out the podcast at the Free Thought Project. So thank you for that question, Strident Conservative. And yes, Junebugs Mama Texas, we're going to have Tom Massey on. He's a great person. All right, you guys, thank you. Clones. Every day here on the Shannon Joy Show, clones, we report on a wonderful shit show blanketed in love. Yes, it is crazy out there, but I'm there with you every day, white knuckled on this roller coaster. And when we find each other, we'll get through it. So never give up, never lose hope. There's always something that we can do to further the cause in the pursuit of liberty and truth and justice in the US. And so let's look at every day that we have to do that as a blessing and do what we can from our own corner of the world, according to our own unique talents and ability. And there's nothing else you can ask us to do. All right. You can sleep good at night knowing that you did something to try to pass on this gift of liberty and freedom to our kids. Okay. And we'll end with Proctor Surf. What is the best way to destroy a 5G tower without getting electrocuted? Proctor Surf, we are not advocating that whatsoever here on the Shannon Joy Show. Stay away from the 5G towers. We're going to have to figure out another way to get them down. Okay? Another way to get them down. All right, guys, you have a wonderful day. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all again right here on the Shannon Joy Show.